Yay! Hello, peoples of the earth, and welcome back to another storytime stream starring yours truly. I hope you remembered to bring a lot of water because this is going to be hot. Sorry, I had to. I don't know why I had to, I just had to. Like, I'm such a dork. But yeah, may the 4th be ever in your favor and all that. I got my mic now, and I got, USB hub, so that I can have all my USBs in it. I got a new mouse today as well. I got a new phone yesterday, courtesy of my brother, so now I can watch chat here. I'm still having to keep an eye on my scenes here, but I actually don't need to look over here anymore for my stream to see how good it looks, because now I have it on my phone. So now I got space for it. But yeah. Oh yeah. I got a wand. It's a Phoenicia wand. And it's pouring down outside, which is why we're sitting here today. Because there's no natural lighting outside right now. No good natural lighting anyway. It's been pouring down all day. So that's fun. I know this setup doesn't look very professional. But it's the best I can do with my limited knowledge and all that and resources. And I'm also kind of very broke at the moment because I spend a lot of money on equipment and stuff. And I really need to reach affiliate so I can get subscriptions and stuff like that. So I would really appreciate it if you subscribe. If you hit that follow button, because I need 50 followers to be affiliate. And if you don't even have to look at my screen, you just have to keep it in the background, keep it open in the background of whatever you're doing. Because this is not really, my storytime streams aren't really something you need to look at, just basically listen to it. So if you could do me that favor, because I also need 3 average viewers, and those are the only 2 things I still lack right now. And I would really love to reach affiliate before Pride. And we got a month to that, people, so let's go! But yeah. Monday, I got the Phoenicia wand in a Geek Gear box, a limited edition creature box. This was in it. I got a little dragon egg. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's very on brand with me, and I adore dragons. If you didn't know already, I love dragons. Oh yeah, also let me know if I am too loud or I'm too silent, or if the music's too loud, or if you just can't hear the music. Anyway, and this t-shirt was also in the box. It's a missing toad. I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna do this. Look, missing toad. It's Trevor. I love it. And I usually I just love messing around with the wand, pretending I'm a wizard. Yeah, the wizard Hattie. And I also use it to annoy my cat, who's currently lying on my bed right over there. But yeah. Oh, we lost a viewer. Sorry to see you go. But anyway, that was just This short, you know me. If you've been here a while, you know I always wait like 10 minutes before I start reading. And we're still reading this book. It's also right there. Over there. Which book we're reading. So yeah, this is gonna be fun. See, my desk is very messy right now, and the cord to the mic is so fucking long. But yeah. You can't see the cat tree, but you can see when I'm like leaning my arm on it. That's kind of fun. But yeah. I hope you have had a good day. Mine's been quite well, actually. I had to wake up very early compared to how early I wake up normally these past few months. Because I had to take a writing, reading, and math test. Like calculating test. Because I'm not in school right now, so they need to like test me for like the future. I think like there's no, I can't fail it. You can't fail it. And they also said that I did excellent and there's no help that they could for me or anything, and that I just had to drop out of school because of my depression, not because, you know, I lacked in the knowledge department, you know. So yeah. I had to get up early for that. Need to get some water right now. Ooh, this music, isn't that the final choice? But yeah. I actually quite like the setup. So yeah. We are reading chapters. Oh my god, you saw me, I just took it and then opened it. I didn't do this or anything. And I came immediately to where we needed to be, chapter 6. Like, wow, I haven't done that before. One sec. My computer's being great. There we go. Just being a bit slow. There we go. Yesterday I, with no face cam, had sat like this. But I can't obviously do that with a face cam right now. So you'll just have to, yeah, I think I'll move this, and then, looks quite good, I think. I think that's look good. What's the song? Oh, this is the Asgard song. But yeah, I'm a dork. May the 4th be ever in your favor. Mixing up 3 things there. I'm a dork. No, not a whale penis. Anyway, chapter 6. Also, remember to tell me if I'm being too loud or if you can't hear me at all. So yeah. It's morning! Kinkaju sang, pouncing on Moon's tail. Isn't that wonderful? Moon blinked hazily at the rain wing, who was now more pink than yellow, but although still too bright. She felt as if she'd only just fallen back to sleep. I think it is the opposite of wonderful, Carnelian observed grouchily. She flung her wings over her head. We get to meet our winglets today! A winglet today, Kinkajou cried. Isn't that exciting? She notched Moon's tail with her own, and then plucked herself down on the moss beside her, giving off so much delighted energy that Moon felt both contagiously uplifted by it and exhausted at it at the same time. What does that mean? Our winglet? She asked, hoping perhaps she could fall back to sleep while Kinkajou explained. She missed the feeling of her mother's scales at her back while she slept. She wondered if her mother missed her too. Ooh, it's the best idea, Kinkajou said. I mean, alright, I was a little worried about it at first, because I was like, that means I'll have to make friends with a nightwing, but now that I know it's you, there's nothing to worry about, because you're just lovely and not in the business of kidnapping or experimenting on dragons after all, right? She poked Moon's shoulder. Right, Moon agreed. What? We've been organized into 5 winglets. Get it? It's not a whole wing of dragons, just a smaller group, so a winglet. 5 groups of 7 dragons. Oh, damn. Sorry, my phone notification. 5 groups of 7 dragonettes, with 1 dragon from each tribe. We're in the Jade winglet. My friend Tamarin is in the Gold winglet. The idea is that we'll work with the other 6 dragonettes and get to be friends with them, and then we'll totally understand all the tribes and nobody will ever want to go to war ever again. It's brilliant. I love it. I can't wait to meet our Sea Wing. They sound so weird. Let's go, let's go, let's go! Kinkajou seized Moon's tail and tried to drag her to the door. Alright, I'm coming, Moon protested, wriggling free. She rubbed her eyes as Kinkajou bounced ahead to the door. And then, with a horrible jolt, she remembered what she'd heard the night before. If I kill them... Moon shivered from wings to tail. If someone at the school was planning a murder, she had to tell Sunny or Starflight. But she couldn't, not without revealing her own secret. But I have to warn them, don't I? Her mother's favorite rule rang in her head. Stay secret, stay hidden, stay safe. What if I'm wrong? Maybe it was just a dream. My dream or someone else's. But it definitely felt like 2 voices talking to each other. What is good as having this power if I can't do anything about what I hear? I have to go to the library, Moon said. She didn't know enough about dream visitors. All she knew was that there were 3 of them, created by an animus dragon thousands of years ago. She knew there were sapphires, and she knew any dragon who held one could walk in another dragon's dreams and sometimes communicate with the dreamer that way. But she didn't know who had them now. The scroll she'd read said they were lost centuries ago. Maybe if she could figure out where they were, she could find a way to warn Starflight and the others without giving away her power. You can't go to the library now, Kinkajou said. She held up one of the little boards, with a message chalked on it. We have a first class with our winglet this morning. The sound of a bronze metal gong being struck reverberated through the halls. Bong, bong, bong. 3 times. That's our first warning, Kinkajou said. Come on, Carnelian. She grabbed a scroll from one of the racks by the door and threw it at the Skywing's head. We have to figure out where our meeting cave is. I'm just gonna do this so it is more comfortable for me to actually read. Yeah, my desk is a mess. Carnelian unfolded her wings with a majestic scowl and float off the rock ledge with a wrathful waterfall. She stalked past Kinkajou and Moon without a word and turned left, clearing a path through the milling dragonets with the force of her galere. Does that mean she knows where we're going? Kinkajou asked Moon. Moon spread her wings with a confused shrug. Well, one way to find out. Kinkajou bounded after the Skywing. Moon hesitated. She didn't want to be late for her very first class, although getting to the library to reach her stream visitors seemed more important. But her teacher and classmates were waiting, and she could always go to the library after class, and maybe she'd find a way to ask about dream visitors during the discussion. Reluctantly, she followed Kinkajou, keeping her head down to avoid the looks from the dragons around her. That didn't help to block out their thoughts, though. The ones who noticed her definitely remembered the scene from the Prey Center, where there were echoing murmurs of, "Oh, there's that weird Nightwing who doesn't talk, and she's the one who tried to steal that Icewing scavenger, and seems stuck up like all the other Nightwings, doesn't want to make friends with anyone." After a minute, she realized, though, that most of the Dragonets were too busy worrying about their first class to pay attention to her. "What will they think of me?" was the prevailing whisper in all their minds. "Will anyone like me? What if I say something stupid?" She didn't catch any thoughts about strange dreams or murder plots, although it was hard to tell through all the noise. Carnelian went through the Great Hall, where Fatespeaker was sitting proudly with a mallet next to the bronze gong, and chose a tunnel on the opposite side, slanting up. To Moon's surprise, this passageway was lined with plants, some with pale green heart-shaped leaves growing out of cracks in the rock, others with vigorous bundles of dark purple leaves sprouting from small pots of dirt. Green vines covered the ceiling, winding around the green and yellow globe lights, with long blue flowers hanging down like dragon tails. A rivulet of silvery water trickled down the center of the tunnel, carving a small groove in the stone. As they went higher, the air felt more damp, until finally they ended up in a cave swarming with vines that was opened to the sky on this one side. Water cascaded down the back wall like a moving, bubbling tapestry, pouring into a small pool that fed into the stream in the tunnel. Tsunami sat on the ledge with the morning sun shining behind her, grinning at them as they came in. Her royal blue scales looked as if they were made of melted sky. "About time," she thought. Her tail shifted, rustling the trails of leaves that spilled across the floor and out onto the mountainside. "My own fault for getting up at the crack of dawn, but really it's time to get started. Let's go!" Moon ducked her head. There was something about the sea wing that made her nervous, and it was only partly the fact that her thoughts were so loud. Bong! Bong! Went the gong, only twice this time. "Hello!" Tsunami said. "Welcome to your first class. Nice work finding the right cave. Carnelian, Kinkajou, and Moonwatcher, right? Oh, be impressed. I've been practicing so hard to memorize all of you. 35 new names. Easy as cows for Starflight, but a whole lot trickier for me and Clay, believe me. I mean, it helps that I knew some of you before, of course." "Like me!" Kinkajou thrilled. "Tail kisser," Carnelian thought grumpily. Someone moved in the tunnel behind Moon, and she turned to see a smallish mudwing coming into the cave with the sea wing close behind. She didn't recognize the mudwing, but the sea wing. "Turtle!" Tsunami said enthusiastically. "Oh, good. I asked to be given your winglet first. Hi, everyone. This is my brother. Can you believe I have a brother? Or a million brothers, apparently, but I'm just assuming this one's the best since he's here now." She slung one wing over his shoulders and gave him a toothy grin. Turtle smiled back at her. It's true, I am." Aww. Moon studied the green sea-wing dragonet, remembering the vision she'd had when she first saw him, the vision of him attacking Anemone. Could he be the one from the dream last night? Was someone trying to convince him to kill his sisters? She tried cautiously to reach into his mind, which she didn't exactly know how to do. It was like trying to listen harder in one direction. Most dragons were constantly broadcasting their thoughts and feelings, but Turtle still had that odd quiet around him. And as though his brain were wrapped in blankets. It was almost peaceful, leaning into his thoughts, but also a little terrifying, because Moon had absolutely no idea what was going on there. Is there any chance he's the voice in my head? Are there any sea-wing telepaths? If he can shield his thoughts, maybe he can send them too. Mystery voice, are you Turtle? Mystery voice, are you Turtle? He caught her staring at him and smiled, but there was no clear answer in his expression. This is my clawmate, Umber, Turtle said, turning to the little brown mudwing. Oh! Kinkajou said. Clay's brother! Sora's brother, Moon thought, and realized she'd been hoping Sora would be in their winglet. That's right, Umber said. His mind rippled with warmth and anticipation in a way that matched Kinkajou's. Moon could also sense relief, almost an ongoing, permanent state of relief that seemed to have to do with not being at war anymore. Ooh, the jade winglet is so cool! Kinkajou said happily. I wonder who we'll get for our Icewing and Sandwing. Does Sunny have any sisters? But Moon could now sense the last two dragonets coming up the tunnel, and her heart dropped. Actually, Tsunami said, after yesterday, we decided to switch a couple of dragons around, since you guys seemed like a good match. She flicked her tail at Winter and Quibbly as they stepped into the cave. You've already met. You're all interested in scavengers. We think you'll fit well together. Bong! Went the warning bell one final time. Moon stared into Winter's cold blue eyes and felt as if ice was traveling across her scales to her wingtips. How could she hide from him if they were constantly in class together? It's her, he thought, and an echo came from Quibbly's mind as well. It's her. Now I can keep an eye on her, thought one. Now I can figure out, thought the other. Did she just get more intense as we came in? Is it Winter she's worried about, or both of us? She looks a little scared of everyone, but also like she can take care of herself if everyone would just leave her alone. She likes that Rainwing though, her clawmate, the one who's all heart. I wonder if I can get her to like me. Aww, Quibbly. I'll find out why she knows so much about... Oh, this is Winter. I'll find out why she knows so much about scavengers. Winter thought. I'll find out everything about her. I could protect her. Would you want that? Quibbly wondered. It's what I do best. It's what I've done for Thorn since I was 3. She said I need to find something else to do with myself. That I'm wasting my potential, and she has enough dragons to protect her. As if I trust any of them. Wonder what Thorn would think of Moon. Is she a threat? Or the kind of dragonet the Outclaws are sworn to protect? We haven't figured her out yet. And then more softly, but chiming from somewhere both inside of them. I wonder what she thinks of me. Ah, that's so sweet. She didn't know. She wasn't quite sure what she thought of either of them. She kind of wanted to hide from them, but she also wanted to keep listening. It was hard, actually, to have many thoughts of her own when so many others were crowding in all at once. From across the cave, Kinkajou was brimming with "Eee! The ominous, handsome, glittery, brooding Icewing." Umber thought quietly, "Wow, he's gorgeous. Wow, he's gorgeous." And Carnelian sat down with her wings folded and scowled at her talons. Bah, I hate everyone. All of these dragons would be useless in battle. Moon found herself edging a little closer to Turtle, who was like a small island of peace in the middle of the cross currents. 8 dragons in one small cave, all thinking at the same time. How is she going to get through this? Let's go around and introduce ourselves, Tsunami said. I mean, maybe it's unnecessary, but that's what Sunny said to do. And then she... sorry. my phone did something. And then she said I probably wouldn't listen to her anyway, so I am proving her wrong. So there, I'm Tsunami, if anyone didn't know. I was going to give myself a title like Commander of Recruitment, but then for some reason everyone voted that I would be terrible at recruiting, whatever that is all about. So they made me head of school instead. So I'm pretty much the boss. And I'm running your first small group discussion class, which was Glory's big idea. So I figured we'll try it out together. Any questions? Yeah, said Carnelian. Are we stuck with this group? That's not quite how I would put it, said Tsunami, but yes. Ooh, what if we would prefer to be in a group with other Ice Wings? Winter asked. Such as my sister. That's not how the winglets are set up, Tsunami said. But you'll be in some bigger group classes with her and have plenty of time to make other friends as well. I love our winglet, Kinkachi volunteered. When do we get to eat? When do we eat? Umber asked. Just kidding. Pretending to be Clay. He grinned, then shot a look at Quibbly. Did you think that was funny? I hope that was funny. Did I sound like an idiot? Oh, it's Quibbly, he noticed, Moon realized. Not Winter. Ah! Is Umber getting a crush on Quibbly? Aww, it's adorable. That is so adorable, actually. And, of course, gay, and I love it. I love everything that's gay. I mean, this book series will advertise us. There's a lesbian dragon couple in this, and I was like, I'm in! Anyway, it was impossible to ignore how handsome Winter was, especially with Kinkaji thinking about it all the time. But it was true that Quibbly was good looking, too, in a warmer way now that she looked. His thoughts were so distractingly fascinating, and she hadn't noticed it before. Actually, I brought food, Tsunami said. She cleared aside a tangle of vines and revealed a carved stone bowl full of fish, which she set in the middle of the floor. Help yourselves. Awesome, said Turtle. Yuck, said Kinkaju. I'll wait and have a banana later. Thanks. Oh, am I getting too close to the camera? Might need to do this. Yeah, I think that's better. Don't ya? Don't you think that's better? Moon took a step toward the fish, but so did Winter, and she jumped back to stay out of his way. He gave her a curious look. She's frightened of me. Mother would be so proud. He turned away, skewering a fish on one of his claws. I guess I did threaten to slice off her face. Here, Quibbly said, taking a fish and handing it to Moon. She could feel the heat rising from his sand-yellow scales as she accepted it. Thanks, she said. He smiled crookedly at her, thinking rushing busy thoughts about what else he could do to get her to like him, and trying to fit her into a pattern of other dragons he'd known before. She had never met a dragon who had so many thoughts a minute. Consciously, he was thinking about her. Unconsciously, he was observing that Carnelian was the most battle-scarred and probably the most unpredictable dragon in the cave, so he was angling his tail toward her, just as a precaution. And part of him was also remembering what he knew about Tsunami and the kinds of dragons she liked, while yet another part was planning to go out and survey the mountains later. Damn, Quibbly! It was almost like reading a scroll, or maybe like reading 5 scrolls at once. Moon wished she could escape his attention and just listen to him think for a while. Right! Introductions, said Tsunami. Carnelian? Wanna go first? No, muttered the Skywing's brain. She heaved a deep sigh. I'm Carnelian. There was a pause. Anything else? Tsunami prompted, what should we know about you? Family, favorite color, anything? Carnelian growled, low in her throat. I'm a loyal subject of Queen Ruby, she said finally. I'm in the camp that believes Queen Scarlet is dead, and if she isn't, I'd be happy to kill her myself to protect my queen's throne. I'm here because my queen told me to be, although I should be training with my battalion and guarding her palace, not eating slimy wet fish with a bunch of spineless dragonettes. She frowned at all of them for a moment, and my favorite color is red. Insecure, Quibbly thought, studying Carnelian, only comfortable when she's fighting, worried we'll think she's dumb and that Queen Ruby will find out she's dumb and all her chances of advancing to general one day will be ruined. Is she as stupid as she thinks she is? Have to wait and see. Aww. Moon blinked at him. None of that was obvious, but it was all there in the less conscious part of Carnelian's mind. He was right. How could he know all that? Must be right. Okay. Right. He couldn't be a mind reader, surely. Or she'd be able to tell. Had he figured all that out just by noticing? Alright, King Tsunami said. Good to know. Kinkaju? Bright flares of yellow and purple shot across her rainwing scales. Oh, sure! I'm Kinkaju. I'm a rainwing, and I've never met any sea wings, or sand wings, or ice wings before. I mean, apart from the dragonets of destiny, of course, because I'm really good friends with them. I'm excited to learn how to read, and I want to know everything about all your tribes, and I think this school is the best idea in the world. And my favorite color is yellow. Of course it is, Carnelian said. Should I tell them about being a Nightwing prisoner? Kinkaju wondered. No, that's a little grim for first impressions. Yashin! Kinkaju said, bumping Moon's side. A flurry of happy thoughts leaped through her scales into Moon, pushing her past her nervousness. I'm Moonwatcher, she said softly, but please call me Moon. Oh, and this part she's thinking, or nothing, that would be alright too. I guess I can't say. Please don't talk to me at all, can I? She's finished thinking? I grew up in the rainforest. The next part she's thinking as well. And I'm a mind reader, and I can see the future, and I'm afraid Turtle might kill his sister, and I'm pretty sure someone is spying on our dreams, and that the whole mountain might fall on us one day. Also, I miss my mother. She's finished thinking. I like scrolls, she finished nervously. Hi, Miss. How did she grow up in the rainforest? Winter thought, narrowing his eyes at her. But Tsunami had already turned away, and Moon couldn't jump in to explain in case he guessed that she'd read his mind again. She focused on her talons, avoiding his gaze. Me too, said Turtle. At least I like scrolls that weren't written by my mother. I've read way too many of those. Ugh. He rolled his eyes. I'm Turtle, by the way. He used to be invisible, Quibbly thought, tilting his head at Turtle. Almost prefers it, but not always. Easygoing, doesn't want to try hard enough to be noticed. I wonder how much that armband is worth. Don't recognize the kind of stones. He looks like he wants to go back to bed. Moon listened intently. She hadn't been able to figure out anything about Turtle at all. Quibbly seemed to think the sea wing was harmless. She wondered what he'd think if she told him about her vision. Not that the conversation was ever going to happen. I'm Quibbly, said the Sandwing. I was one of Thorn's outclaws before she became queen. My plan is to learn everything as fast as possible and then get back to help her run the Kingdom of Sand. I'm sure she's lost without you. Winter said scathingly. And I'm sure you're perfectly essential to the operation of your kingdom, Quibbly shot back. Winter frowned, and Quibbly thought, that hit home. I was right. He doesn't think he's worth much in to his family, although he would like us all to think differently. And I'm Umber, said Clay's brother. I think we might have been in a battle once, he said to Chameleon. I mean, you look familiar. Oh, she said, squinting at him. Her frown softened. I didn't realize you fought in the war too. Oh, were Skywings and Mudwings? Sorry. Where Skywings and Mudwings were on the same side. She thought quietly. Maybe I do have allies here. Yeah, with my brothers and sisters. My brother Reed is our leader, he said. But he said Sora and Maj and I could come to school now that the war's over, since there's so much we wanted to learn. I miss him and Pheasant, though. Memories flashed through his head. Well, it's one of the main things I do, so if you think it's boring, you can just not watch it, you know? I mean, I think it's interesting, which is why I do it. Why are you forced to watch my stream? That's a bit weird. What? Right. Please don't joke about that. 'Cause I didn't think it was funny. So... Right, but I don't think a lot of people would think that was funny. Just saying. Where was I? There. Memories flashed through his head of flying surrounded by other brown dragons, whisking through clouds and turning and diving all together. Marshes, a muddy swamp camp, a large brown dragon cuffed his shoulder affectionately. Another one dropped a pig in front of him and waved for him and Sora to share it, all of them laughing around the fire. They can visit any time, Tsunami promised. They can even camp out and live here if they want. The more the merrier. They're working for Queen Mohin right now, Umber explained. But maybe one day. His wings drooped a fraction of an inch, and he pulled them back up. Well, I am Winter, said Winter. Queen Glacier's nephew, Quibbly said at the same time as he did. Winter straightened up and glittered dangerously at him. Don't you mock me, he said. I wouldn't dream of it, Quibbly said innocently. If you're head of the school, Winter said to Tsunami. Does that mean you're the dragon to talk to about getting a private cave? Why, yes, I am, Tsunami said. The answer is no. See, I'm your destiny, Quibbly said to Winter with a cheerful shrug. Wish she were my destiny, Umber and Kinkajou thought nearly simultaneously. Moon smothered a giggle and got a pleased look from Quibbly. Can't we get on with the discussion? Winter asked. What exactly is the point of this? The point is to talk about anything you want to talk about, Tsunami said, to find out what dragons from other tribes think and see things from a new point of view. I'm sure it'll be different when you have this class with Stafflight or Clay or Sunny, but I, for one, think you guys should pick a topic. Alright, Winter said. I want to talk about Nightwing powers. As far as Moon could hear, no one noticed her expression of terror before she managed to fix her face. Except maybe Quibbly, who thought, is she alright? Winter's such a moon-licking crocodile, picking on her for no reason. Kinkajou also glanced at Moon and thought, poor thing, she's not going to enjoy that. Maybe we could talk about the war instead, said the Rainwing suggested. I want to know what Queen Thorn is like. You've been inside the Sandwing stronghold, haven't you? She asked quickly. Wait, I'm confused about the Nightwings too, Turtle said before Quibbly could answer. Is it true they don't have powers anymore? Just because they moved to the rainforest? I heard a rumor that they never had powers, Carnelian chimed in, suddenly animated. That they made all of that up, and they've been lying to us for thousands of years. But what about the Dragonette prophecy? Umber challenged, flicking his tail. About my brother and his friends ending the war? That was clearly real, because look, it came true. No, it wasn't, Moon thought. All the Nightwings know it was false, because there haven't been any true prophets in the tribe in forever. Not even her. Wait, sorry, I skipped a line. But they won't admit that to anyone outside the tribe. Not even her. She'd figured it out by reading their minds. Most of them are furious that the world knows they have no powers. What if they're lying now and they secretly do have powers, but don't want us to know? Turtle asked. Moon shivered involuntarily and focused on the fish in her claws. Oh, snail droppings, Tsunami cursed inside her head. I told Starflight we'd get asked about this. I never remember our story. And why should I have to lie? To protect the Nightwings' precious reputation? Or the worthless talents of peace? Who cares if the prophecy wasn't real now that the war's over? It doesn't really matter, right? She hedged. The war's over, there are no more prophecies, we can do whatever we want, which includes ignoring the Nightwings if we want to. No offense, Moon. It matters if they manipulated us, Winter hissed. Do they have powers or not? Or did they when they lived in their secret location? If so, were all of them psychic or just a few? And how did they lose them? He shook his head, his icicle-sharp spikes clattering faintly. There are thousands of dragons who are still terrified of the Nightwings. They deserve to know the truth. Tsunami looked calm, but Moon could hear her squirming on the inside. I totally agree with you, the Seawing thought. Well, nobody's sure what the truth is, she said finally. Nobody's sure? Winter swept one glittering pale blue wing toward Moon. We have one right here. This is all about understanding other tribes, isn't it? Can't we ask her? Three moons, the horrible forest of 7 pairs of eyes staring at her, green, amber, blue, black, orange, ranging from curious to hostile, with matching tidal waves of emotion behind them. Moon wondered what anyone would do if she bolted from the cave, and maybe flew all the way back to the rainforest without stopping. Moon doesn't know anything, Kinkaju jumped in loyally. She wasn't raised with the other Nightwings. Her mother hid her in the rainforest. She's been told all the same lies as everyone else. Moon thought perhaps she loved Kinkaju at that moment more than any other dragon she'd ever known. Please, please believe her, she prayed. Don't ask me any more questions. Oh. Winter gave Moon that look again. The one like she had shifted her scales and turned out to be a different dragon than he'd expected. Or possibly a howler monkey and not a dragon at all. Maybe I don't have to hate her after all, he thought. But still, a Nightwing's a Nightwing, and none of them can be trusted. Aha, Quibbly thought. That explains some things. She doesn't have the same beaten down yet insufferable smug aura of the other Nightwings. Does she miss the rainforest? Or is she happy to finally be with other dragons? Was she lonely? Must have been alone a lot. Maybe she prefers it. Or maybe she's not used to making friends. I could be a friend. Careful, Quibbly. Figure her out first. Oh yeah, Moon is a mind reader. And she can also see the future. Look, the important thing is that if the Nightwings ever did have powers, they don't anymore, Tsunami said, spreading her wings so the sun shone through her royal patterns of phosphorescent scales. As long as everyone knows that the Nightwings can't manipulate the other tribes ever again. So just remember that there's no mind reading, and there's definitely no seeing the future. Nightwings are not these all-powerful mystery dragons who know everything. And if someone ever tells you you're in a prophecy, tell them to eat their tails. I wish I could have done that to the Talons of Peace a lot sooner. She wouldn't believe me, Moon realized. If I went to Tsunami about the voices I heard, or my vision of Jade Mountain collapsing, she'd think I was lying. She doesn't trust Nightwings, or anyone who tries to tell her what to do, or what her future will be. But Winter started to protest. Who wants to go hunting? Tsunami nearly shouted. I know I do. Great idea, Tsunami. No arguing with the head of school. Off we go. She shot off the ledge and whooshed away into the clouds. Carnelian snorted. I guess the discussion is over, she said. Moon let herself smile at the fact that fearless, awe-inspiring Tsunami had been the one to bolt, not her. But her smile faded as Winter paced across the cave and stopped right in front of her. He studied her with his piercing gaze, almost as if he could read her mind if he just stared at her long enough. His scales were so bright and so cold, his eyes so weirdly blue and suspicious and angry and sad all at the same time. Hey, Winter, leave her alone, Quibbly said, sliding up next to Moon. She's not the enemy. Pyria is at peace now, Turtle agreed. There are no more enemies. Because the queens signed a peace agreement that accepted Dawn as their new Sandwing Queen, Winter thought. But there are some things that cannot be forgiven. That should not be forgiven. And we're supposed to just sit back and let the Nightwings get away with it? It wasn't her, though, whispered another part of his mind, but she's still one of them. You say you don't know anything, Winter said, settling his wings. But you know the other Nightwings. You can find out the truth and come back to tell us, right? Ha! They'd probably tell an Icewing all their secrets long before they ever trust me, Moon thought. She said, maybe? I want to know everything about their powers, he said. Were they ever real? How do we know they're gone? What else are they lying to us about? He cleared his throat. If I'm scary enough, she'll do what I want, his mind whispered. That's what Mother would say. That's what Mother would say. I mean, you. What else are you lying to us about? Hey, Igloo Face, that's not cool, Quibbly barked. Yeah, Moon is our winglet. Moon's our winglet, Kinkaju said, bristling. We're supposed to support each other. I'm with Igloo Face, Carnelian said. She stood up and stretched her massive wings, making Umber duck so so he wouldn't get whacked in the head. If we're supposed to get all snuggly with each other, there shouldn't be any more secrets. Let's make her tell us everything. Her orange eyes glared at Moon, and an ominous image flashed through her head of Moon pinned under her talons. I wasn't joking, Tsunami yelled, swooping by outside. We're going hunting! Come on! Carnelian stalked to the ledge and leaped out. Umber glanced at the others. Poor Moon, he thought, but I want to know the truth too, and then hurried after her. Turtle shrugged. Whatever you guys decide. And a moment later he was gone as well, leaving Moon, Kinkaju, Quibbly, and Winter facing off. I'll fight him if I have to, Quibbly was thinking fiercely. He curls his claws like he relies on his front talons in fighting, so I'll go for his shoulders first, slow him down without doing too much damage. Have to disable his snout to stop his frost breath too. Will Moon like it if I fight for her? Or is she the kind of dragon who would rather see me try a peaceful arrangement first? Hey.
Har du en papkasse, jeg må få?
Ja. One sec. Hvor stor skal den være?
Jeg skal lave skabeloner.
I'm back. Sorry, she needed some, my sister needed some, what are they called? Boxes to make something with, and I got a lot of them right now. Yeah. Oh, I hate my hair right now. There. Quibbly is still thinking, by the way. Kinkaju would like me either way. I like that about her, but I can't even guess about Moon. She doesn't seem like a fighter, but she's not scared in a normal way. Hope she stands up to him. She can't let him get away with intimidating her like that. On Moon's other side. It's so weird that I can't tell what he's feeling by looking at his scales, Kinkaju thought, watching Winter. His shiny, shiny, gorgeous scales. Don't get distracted. No being mean to my new best friend, no matter how dazzling you are. Moon blinked at Kinkaju, her fear shrinking. New best friend? Did she mean that? Or was Kinkaju the kind of dragon who had a new best friend every 2 minutes? Either way, for these 2 minutes, at least, she had backup, even if she hadn't done anything to earn it. She turned and met Winter's eyes, which felt a little like staring into a glacier. Alright, she said, but please stop trying to scare me. She hesitated and then, riding one of Quibbly's sharp observations, she added, You're not as terrifying as you think you are. He took a surprised step back, his mind whirling. Nice, Kinkaju thought, grinning. Take that! Knew she was cool, thought Quibbly. Stop liking her! Winter ordered himself with an internal growl. Remember what Father said. They're all liars. Be strong, be vigilant, strike first. Trust nobody, not even interesting Nightwings with silver teardrop scales. Fine, he said. You find out the truth about Nightwing powers? And you'll stop threatening everybody, Kinkaju said. He paused, and then an unexpected expression creased his face. Hey, I didn't promise anything about everybody, he said. Just her. I have an Icewing Warrior mystique to maintain after all. Come on. Megalovania! Just gonna be turning this up. Yes! Sorry. It's a really good show. It's a really good music, by the way. He looked at Moon again and then turned and jumped out into the sky, flying after Tsunami and the others. I'm probably wrong, Creepily said, but I think my clawmate just made a joke. Is that possible? Inside, he was thinking, yes, I knew that dragon was in there. If I can just drag him out. Moon returned his smile. You were totally hallucinating, Kinkaju agreed. Too many smoke berries. Are you alright? Quibbly asked Moon. She nodded. She was more alright than she'd been in months. Mind reading was one thing, one awful thing, when you were surrounded by dragons who hated you, as she had been in the Nightwing village. But when you were with dragons who actually liked you, or wanted to like you, for whatever mysterious reason, well, she didn't expect it to last. What happens if they find out the truth about me? But for now, it was kind of great. What's a smokeberry? Quibbly asked Kinkaju as they started toward the ledge. Oh, they're crazy, Kinkaju said. I had some while the Rainwing healers were working on my wing injury. They gave me the wildest hallucinations. Flying panthers, Quetzals the size of dragons, scavengers with superpowers. You name it, I saw everything. Damn, scavengers with superpowers. They soared into the sky. Moon started to follow them, but stopped on the ledge, feeling the wind whip around her. Up in the clear, cloudless sky, her new friends were diving and whirling like flower petals in the rainforest storm, gold and scarlet and green and pale blue. Don't get too comfortable, little Moon, said the whispering voice softly. Even mind readers can be taken by surprise when they think they know whom to trust. The dragons who like you now are the most likely to betray you. Believe me, I know. I know who that dragon is, but I can't tell you yet. Because I'm pretty sure we'll find out sooner or later. But I really want to tell you. Anyway, end of chapter 6. Get some water, people! Woo! Anyway. Do, 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 do. Anyway, chapter 7. Moon rose through the sky, feeling the paper-soft brush of thin clouds parting around her dark wings. It was quieter up here, but not quiet enough. She wondered how high she'd have to get before she couldn't hear anyone anymore. She wondered if it were possible to get high enough that even her mystery friend couldn't reach her mind. A fairy smell caught her attention, and she spun to study the ground. There, a mountain goat clambering between two rocks, behind a green of straggly bushes. Moon glanced around, but Tsunami and most of the others were circling over a glassy lake looking for fish. The closest dragon to Moon was Quibbly, who was trying extremely hard to seem as if he wasn't watching her. Carnelian was within shouting distance, drifting on her vast wings, but Moon wasn't about to do any shouting, and certainly not to get the grumpy Skywings' attention. Guess that means this goat is mine, she thought with a tiny bit of glee. Sweeping suddenly into a dive, Moon plummeted down toward the ground. Below her, the goat saw her shadow coming and let out a bleating scream of fear. It scrambled quickly up the rock and tried to leap into a narrow ravine where dragons would not be able to follow. But it wasn't fast enough. Moon twisted in a quick spiral and snatched the goat in midair, whisking it back up into the sky and killing it in one motion with a squeeze of her claws. Wow! Quibbly shouted from above her. How did you do that? Carnelian, did you see that? The Skywing flew closer, eyeing the dead goat jealously. I thought Nightwings didn't know how to hunt. I thought so too, Kinkaju chimed in. The Rainwing sailed up from a bramble-covered slope. Her snout was stained with dark purple blackberry juice. Starflight told me they do this thing where they bite their prey and then wait for it to die of infection, and then they sniff it out and eat the dead things. It sounds super horrible, like even worse than regular hunting. Gross, Quibbly agreed. They're not supposed to do that anymore, Moon said. Gloria and Deathbringer are teaching them how to hunt properly, and I taught myself to hunt in the rainforest. Mother was always leaving me alone, so I kinda had to. She held out the goat. Maybe we can share it? Really? Quibbly said. That would be great. I'm going to need more practice to figure out how to hunt here. The land is all folded and squiggly. Too many hiding places. Give me a big flat desert and some half-asleep sunbathing lizards any day. Moon guessed it wouldn't take him long to master hunting in the mountains. His eyes were darting across the landscape below them, and he was storing away observations in neat stacks in his mind. He was also trying to gauge whether she meant it about sharing the goat, and whether she'd like him better if she was self-sufficient or if he accepted her offer with appropriate gratitude. I can catch my own food, Carnelian said stiffly. She swung away, broadcasting offended thoughts. Moon winced. Nice work, Moon, Tsunami called. We've got a few things too. Let's take all this back to the prey center and eat there. Another Seawing, this one a blue-green adult dragon with a scar on his side, had joined them with a net, which was now full of squirming fish. He hefted it in his talons and nodded to Tsunami, who tilted her wings and soared back toward Jade Mountain. The others followed her, one by one, with Moon flapping slowly at the back. The goat was heavy. It smelled of meat and the blood that had left dark... It smelled of meat and the blood that had left dark red streaks on her claws. But the thought of going back into the prey center was enough to make her lose her appetite. The noise, the memory of everyone staring at her. She was tempted to get lost on the way. If you're always cowering in a cave alone, you'll be wasting your powers completely, the voice muttered. Easy for you to say, Moon shot back. Clearly you don't get splitting headaches every time you walk into a crowd. Why has no one taken care of you? The voice wondered. Even if the skills are lost, there must be scrolls about coping techniques. No one thinks I need scrolls like that, even if they do still exist, Moon pointed out. If anyone found out what I can do, I'd probably be thrown out of the tribe. I'd definitely be thrown out of school. I'd probably be thrown off the peak of Jade Mountain or into the ocean. This is not a popular power to have right now, is what I'm trying to say. You don't need to be popular if you're powerful. The voice chuckled. Then it stilled for a moment and added amusingly, although perhaps a little more popularity would have been helpful in my situation. Another thoughtful pause. In any case, listen and perhaps I can help. I'm listening. Imagine the sound of ocean waves. I've never heard ocean waves, Moon admitted. What? The voice demanded. Were you raised under a mountain? Fine then. Some other repetitive soothing noise. Moon caught a wind current and tilted her wings, shifting the goat's weight between her talons. Would rain work? Yes, exactly. Fill your head with rain. Moon thought of all the long, lonely days and nights she'd spent hidden in her fern burrow, listening to the rain patter on the leaves all around her, watching the raindrops slowly drip from the ends of the curled folds onto her tail. Wishing she could hear the approaching whoosh of her mother's wings instead. You tragic little dragon, the voice said sympathetically. I'm not a tragic little dragon, Moon protested. I'm lucky. I didn't have to grow up on the volcano. Mother saved me. She seems to have a lot of opinions about what's best for you, none of which involve finding out your preferences first. Before Moon could defend her mother, he went on. Now hold on to that falling rain sound, and then imagine that you're taking each voice you hear and slipping it inside one of the raindrops. Do that as you enter a cave full of dragons, and after a minute, all their insignificant mental howling will be drowned in the downpour. Moon concentrated for a minute. The voice chuckled in her mind again. Oh, it won't work with mine, Dragonette. I'm not so easily submerged. Go try it on the yammering rainwing, or the frenetically intelligent, strangely desperate sandwing. Damn. Moon wanted to ask what he meant by calling Quibbly desperate, but she could see the opening to the prey center below her. Winter and Turtle were already gliding down to the entrance, and beyond them she could see the flash of scales and milling tails. The prey center was as busy today as yesterday, if not more so. She needed to master this new trick right away. She beat her wings to soar closer to Kinkajou, whose mind was going, I wonder what we'll do after lunch. Ooh, maybe reading practice, or history, or music. Sunny says the Sandwings are a surprisingly musical type. Kind of hard to imagine Quibbly singing, I must say. Imagine Winter singing. I wonder if he can scowl and sing and look darkly handsome and mortally offended all at the same time. Probably. Oh, I have to remember to ask Tamarin to where the blackberry bushes are. To take Tamarin to where the blackberry bushes are. I hope Glory visits us soon. Moon imagined collapsing Kinkajou's thoughts into a raindrop and whisking them into the quiet background storm. It almost seemed to work. Until Kinkajou spotted her, turned pink and grinned. Her mind went, Moon! She's so funny, all quiet on the outside, but secretly a total fierce face. Aww, I love Kinkajou. She's so adorable. It is more difficult than when the thoughts are specifically about you, the voice in Moon's head pointed out, and easier when there are many voices at once. This works best in a crowded room, not so well in a two-dragon conversation. Also, it takes practice. I'll practice, Moon vowed. She angled her wings and swooped down toward the prey center, side by side with Kinkajou. The hubbub of thoughts rose up to envelop her. Totally hungry. Why must I be in the same cave as her? What did I just eat? If that mudwing makes one more grotesque slipping noise, the Dragonettes weren't in the war. It's easy for them to talk about forgiveness. This papaya tastes boring. I guess I normally like papaya, but this one is sort of boring all the way through, like eating water. Boring water. I wonder when it will be sun time. Maybe I should try a different papaya after this one. But what if the next papaya is boring too? That was definitely a rainwing. The last train of thought was clearly coming from Coconut. Oh. Moon seized his thoughts and slid them into the sound of rain in her mind. It worked! She waited a minute to be sure she couldn't hear him anymore. Ugh, my nose is itchy now. And then did a delighted flip in the sky before landing outside the cave. Kinkajou laughed. You look happy all of a sudden. Just figured something out, Moon said. Coconut and his meaningless thoughts were one thing. They were practically background noise already. She reached out to grab the nearest savings thoughts. Webb's brought us fish! I could eat his tail, I'm so hungry. And tried the same trick. Her mental voice melted into the noise just like another raindrop. This is amazing, Moon thought. Thank you. It is the first trick a mind-reading dragonette learns, the voice said. Otherwise they would go mad. You should have had these lessons soon after hatching. It is rather a wonder you're as tenaciously sane as you are. Very funny, Moon thought back, but seriously, I was alone most of the time, so it was never this bad before. Luckily, I didn't need to shut out the sloths and toucans. She noticed Kinkajou watching her curiously. Are you alright? The Rainwing asked. You look like your head was taking a walk on one of the moons for a minute. What does that look like? Moon asked. Kinkajou's scales turned purplish black. She wrinkled her nose and gave the tip of the mountain a glassy-eyed stare. Talons and tails, Moon said, giggling. Please tell me I don't really make that face. Fish! Shouted several dragons inside the prey center. The sea wing with the net had dropped it on the cave floor, leaving large silver fish flopping across the stone. A horde of dragons descended on it at once. Moon and Kinkajou edged past the flapping mess of wings and found a spot near the river where Moon could slice up her goat while Kinkajou raided the fruit pile. Sorry. Raindrops, Moon thought, battling the noise in her head. She took a deep breath. It's all raindrops. She was concentrating so hard that she jumped when Quibbly swept up and sat down next to her. What? Sorry, he said, tilting his wings away from her. You said the goat, remember? But if you change your mind, no worries. I can go wrestle for a fish instead. Another fish? How unappealing, he thought. Not sure how I'll ever get used to slimy, wet sea creatures sliding down my throat. But I don't want her to think I can't feed myself. Maybe I'm not that hungry. No, of course, here, Moon said. She used her claws to slice away half of the goat and pushed it toward him. I could totally get a fish away from all those dragons, Quibbly informed her, in case you were wondering. If living in the rainforest on your own makes you good at hunting, then let me tell you, being a dragonette in the Scorpion Den with a family who hates you makes you really good at stealing, fighting, scrouching, and tricking dragons into looking the other way while you nab their roasted camels. Why did your family hate you? Moon asked. Oh, he looked awkward for a minute. They sort of hate everyone. It's no big deal. Moon could sense that it had certainly been a big deal for the first 3 years of his life, at least. The pace of his conscious thoughts slowed for a moment, and she caught a flash of his mother, a large sandwing with snake-like patterns down her spine, hissing at tiny Quibbly and 2 other bigger dragonettes. She saw his brother and sister beating him and threatening him with their venomous tails, just to steal his talonful of date palms. She saw an old male sandwing radiating authority, stalking through to inspect them with beady black eyes. She saw little Quibbly offering a stolen coconut to his mother, his face hopeful, and she saw him thrown against the wall for weakness instead. Aww. None of that was going to fit in a raindrop. I'm sorry, she said too quickly, and then gasped with sudden pain. Oh. She couldn't stop herself from doubling over as a new vision blistered through her mind. This wasn't a passing memory. Those were always a little blurred and jumbled together with the dragon's other thoughts. With visions like these, scenes of the future came bright and clear, even if just for a moment, usually along with a lightning-sharp headache. And this one, the same old Sandwing loomed over Quibbly, his snout twisted with hatred. Behind him hulked Quibbly's brother and sister, now fully grown and even more menacing, wearing medallions etched with some kind of bird. Quibbly curled his tail up dangerously and shouted, "Where is she?" into their sneering faces. Hey, she heard his voice saying in the real world. Whoa, what happened? Moon? Everything all right? Moon blinked, shaking the vision away. The pale grey walls of the prey center came back into focus around her. Bright sunlight reached across the floor to glint off Quibbly's amber earring. One of his talons was resting lightly on hers, and his mind was spiraling with curiosity and concern. Yes, sorry. It's nothing, she said. I get these headaches. It's gone now. Sorry, you were saying about your family? Does she really want to know? Quibbly wondered. Or is she distracting me? Should I be worried? Headaches like that don't sound normal. Thorn took sword leaf root for her headaches. I wonder if I can find some of that for Moon. My family. She doesn't need to know all the horrible details. It's all sand in the wind now anyway. He shrugged casually. I joined the Outlaws when I was 3, and Mother was happy to shove me out the door. The best news of my life is that I'll never have to see any of my family ever again. But that's not true, Moon realized. Not according to her vision. If that was really the future, then Quibbly's awful family wasn't done with him yet. What did they want from him? Who was the old male Sandwing? And who was the she Quibbly had been asking about? His mother? Thorn? I wish I could warn him. I wish I could save him. Itchy nose again. Moon turned back to her lunch with a sigh. If only she lived in a world where dragons weren't afraid of her powers. Sorry, I had to check if my mic was actually on, because like that would have been very embarrassing if you just sat there in total silence. Oh my gosh, almost. Anyway. Where she could tell everyone about them without losing her new friends. A world where they'd believe her and wouldn't hate her for what she could do. If only the Nightwings hadn't ruined everything with their centuries of lies. Then I could do some good with everything rattling around in my brain. I could use it to help dragons, couldn't I? Her mystery voice didn't respond. I have to go to the library, Moon remembered. Maybe I can't help Quibbly, but if I can find out about the dream visitors and figure out whom I heard last night, maybe I can still save someone. End of chapter 7. Oh damn, we're gonna get up on 2.5 hours again, because we still got 3 chapters left. This chapter is almost 20 pages long. Oh my goodness. But I may accidentally have read the last line of the chapter, and we're gonna get to know who the voice is. Finally. I mean, I knew already. But like, now you can finally know as well. I'm definitely going to be having a hydration break. Anyway, yeah. After the next chapter is up, we'll take a break. Chapter 8. I should go, Moon said to Kinkachu as soon as the rainwing came back from the fruit pile. No! Kinkachu cried. We're eating together. You haven't even finished your hairy, smelly carcass thing. Sit! She nudged Moon back to sitting. Just for 5 minutes, she wheedled. Moon wanted to argue, but there was a thread of anxiety in Kinkachu's mind. Don't leave me alone. Please stay and be my best friend. But she couldn't resist. Okay, sure, she said, and was rewarded with glowing pink scales. Can you tone that down? Umber asked Kinkachu as he and Turtle joined them, each carrying a fish. I mean, it's a very exciting color that I can't say I've ever seen before, but it's a little bright, suggested Turtle. Noticeable? Tried Umber. Eyeballs watching? Offered Quibbly. This happens when I'm angry. This happens when I'm happy, Kinkachu said, unruffled. But if you prefer something more sedate, she turned a vibrant shade of lime green, splashed with violet spots. Moon nearly choked on her goat. Ah! Quibbly yelled, covering his eyes. I don't actually know you, Umber said to Kinkachu. You might be totally serious right now. No, I'm just kidding, Kinkachu said with a giggle, bumping Moon's side again. I can be totally ordinary and boring, don't worry. Her scales shifted again, rippling to the same quiet brown as Umber's, and she gave him a wide-eyed, see, boring stare. Boring hasn't exactly made it on my list of words to describe you, Moon said. Winter! Kinkachu shouted. The Icewing paused in the act of sweeping majestically past them. Yes, he said frostily to Kinkachu. Don't you want to sit with us? Kinkachu asked. I mean, since we're your winglet now and everything. A wave of ice blue shimmered across the scales and then vanished again. Moon tried and failed to stuff all her dreamy thoughts from Kinkachu's head into a raindrop. Damn. Winter looked down his nose at the rainwing. Absolutely not, he said, and stalked away toward another Icewing perched on the ledge slightly above the rest of the dragons. He's so tortured, Kinkachu said happily. You're a little weird, Moon pointed out. Kinkachu was about to reply when a hush fell over the cave. They all twisted around and saw Anemone pace slowly through the door with her head held high, followed by a thin, quiet-looking Sandwing. The Sea-Wing Princess rippled through everyone's minds. Oh, thank the moons, Anemone said, spotting the net of fish, her voice clear and high. I haven't eaten since we left Queen Mohin's palace yesterday. She stepped delicately around a Sandwing who was chewing something on the floor and surveyed the few small fish that hadn't been claimed yet. A number of Mudwings, Sea-Wings, and Skywings were clustered nearby, brown and green and red scales, side by side as they ate. Oh damn. This is not going well. This is not going to go well. I'd like that one, Anemone said sweetly. She pointed at a giant greyfish with a pale speckled pink belly. A Nightwing, the one Moon didn't know, already had his claws around it and was lifting it to his mouth. He paused and stared at her. She gazed back innocently, her chin raised. Said the Nightwing. This one? That one, said Anemone. It's my favorite kind. This one I'm eating? He said. You heard her! Snapped one of the sea wings, a skinny, grayish-blue dragon whose hostile mental vibrations seemed familiar. Moon thought for a minute and then guessed that he was the same one Clay had separated from Carnelian in the hallway yesterday. Pike, if she remembered right. But I'm eating this one, said the Nightwing in a tone of deep confusion. Oh, but I would like it very much, said Anemone. Anemone, Tsunami tried to interrupt, stepping forward. Don't you know this is a Sea-Wing princess? Pike smiled. He shoved himself in the Nightwing's face and flexed his webbed talons. The heir to the throne. Give her the fish, now! Said the Nightwing. She's not my princess, though, his brain mumbled. Clay hurried over. Oh my gosh, I keep getting closer and closer to the camera. That's not good. Sorry. Clay hurried over through the silence that had slowly fallen around Pike, Anemone, and the Nightwing. Most of the other dragons were staring at them, except for Coconut, who was deeply focused on a bunch of grapes. Hey, this is an understandable mistake, Clay said, gently soothing the Nightwings back away from Pike. We haven't posted any prey center rules yet, but we will. Basically, whoever gets their claws on it first, they get to eat it. If we find that doesn't work, we'll revisit the rules in a couple of weeks. But that's how it is right now, alright? Pike scowled. But the princess wants that fish! This one's going to be trouble, Moon heard from Clay's mind, clear as day. He sighed. I do, Anemone agreed. She looked up at Clay with large blue eyes. Mother would want me to have it. There's lots of other fish, Clay said, and you're welcome to join us in the evening when we go out to catch more in one of the mountain lakes. That'll be fun, Tsunami said, elbowing her sister heartily. I'll come too. There are some awesome lakes I want to show you, not far from here. Anemone blinked. Her mind... She looked from Clay to Tsunami, and she narrowed her eyes at the Nightwing, who was surreptitiously starting to chew on the fish's tail. So that's how it's going to be? I don't like this at all, said her mind. But her mouth said, oh, very well. Moon wondered if she had imagined the ghost of a smile that whisked across Turtle's face. You can have my fish, princess, Pike said, handing her a dripping salmon that he had already sliced lengthwise with his claws. Anemone looked down her nose at it, then shook her head. I'm not actually that hungry after all. Come on, Ostrich. She swept out of the cave, deliberately avoiding Clay. The Sandwing glanced around, thinking disappointed, hungry thoughts, but hurried after the princess. Pike hissed at the Nightwing. You'll pay for this, Bigtail, he snarled. Nobody disrespects the Sea-Wing princess. Time to cool down, Pike, Tsunami said sternly. Pike hissed again, then slunk off with his salmon. Oh dear, thought Clay. Moon watched him smile at the Nightwing as if nothing was wrong, and then gave Tsunami a we should talk about that look. She rolled her eyes and hurried after her sister. Umber's whole face lit up as Clay paced over to them. Hey, Clay said affectionately, nudging his little brother. Where are Marsh and Sora? Coming over now, Umber said, waving his wings. Moon sat up and saw Sora approaching with another dragon who looked like her. only more fidgety and nervous. Sora's expression was subdued, but painful anxiety clawed at her insides, all jumbled into scraps of thoughts. Are we safe? Miss Reed, I saw her. Can't sleep. Not safe anywhere. Oh, Crane, I wish you were... Oh, Crane, I wish you were here. Crane is their dead sibling. The Mudwing took a deep breath and started the same internal ritual Moon had found in her mind the night before. Sora imagined the mud slowly pouring over all her worries, leaving only a rippling, peaceful swamp. She's like me, Moon thought. Everyone here was anxious in some way, but with Sora, it ran deeper, all the way to paralyzing fear. She wanted to escape as much as Moon did, or at least the way I wanted to escape yesterday. Now, well, she had to admit, now she was wondering if maybe her mother was right. Maybe school wasn't so terrible after all. Poor Sora. She needs a crazy, enthusiastic clawmate like King Kaju to take care of her. Or maybe I can help her. Maybe because I know how scared she is. Maybe I can make her feel better. Maybe that's one good thing I can do with my powers. This is my brother and sister, Umber said. Marsh is really fast. You should see him fly. And Sora knows everything. She's the only one who's ever practiced her reading. He beamed at them both as if they were the most special, perfect dragons in the world. Aww. Hey, Quibbly greeted them, his mouth half full of goat. He looked as though he wasn't particularly paying attention, but a part of him whispered, "That's the Mudwing sibling bond. Loyal like the outlaws are to Thorn, probably more so. Wish I had a brother and sister that liked me that much. That I like that much. Actually, a brother and sister who didn't actively try to kill me every time they see me would be a dramatic improvement." I'm Moon, remember? Moon said to Sora, trying to look friendly and non-threatening. Would you like some? She held out a piece of her prey. Sora gave her a shy smile. Thank you. She took the goat leg in her claw, tore it in half, and gave the other half to Marsh. Who's in your winglet? Umber asked. Marsh, you're in the copper winglet, right? Yeah. Well, that's my clawmate, Marsh said, nodding over at Coconut. Ha! Quibbly thought. That's perfect. But the slowest, least threatening dragon in the world with the most nervous. Not even this twitchy Mudwing would be scared of that sloth masquerading as a dragon over there. Damn, Quibbly! Savage. Marsh looked around, twisting his claws in nervous circles. I don't remember the other names, though, yet. That's alright, you'll figure them out. Sora? Clay prompted his sister. Anyone really nice? She fiddled with the meat in her talons, pulling out tufts of fur. There's a rainwing in my winglet who seems nice. She's blind. Tamarin! King Kaji cried. Oh, you must be in the gold winglet! She's my best friend! Moon decided not to be hurt by this. She knew Kinkaju would have other best friends, probably 6 more by the end of lunchtime. A sandwing named Onyx? Sora said, counting on her claws. That seawing over there, Pike. His clawmates, a nightwing called Bigtail, and a skywing with a bad scar across his snout. And my clawmate. She nodded at the far wall, at the icewing seated on the ledge next to Winter. They were both gazing disdainfully down at the eating dragons. Above them, sharp twisting stalactites studded the roof of the alcove where they were sat, almost as though they were glaring out of a mouth filled with enormous teeth. Winter's sister? Quibbly said. Then you and I are in the same tent, friend. Is she as stuck up as her brother? Has she mentioned being in line for the Icewing throne yet? Sora blinked at the Icewings. Ripples shuddered across the mud puddle in her mind, but she refused to let whatever was under there escape. Her name is Icicle. To be honest, Clay admitted, from what we've heard about Icicle, we figured we had to put her in the same cave as the nicest, least offensive dragons we could think of, so there wouldn't be any casualties the first week of school. I hope it's alright, Sora. His sister dropped her gaze to her claws. It's fine, she said. Let me know if not. She placed it gently. It's really important to me that you'll be happy here. Sora nodded, thinking of the same brothers and sisters Moon had seen in Umber's mind. Do we have history together next? Don't we have history together next? Turtle asked. Our winglet and your winglet together? Do we? Umber said, delighted. I think so, Quibbly said. Moon could see that he had the day's schedule memorized, plus a detailed layout of the school map in his head, but he was pretending to still be figuring things out with the rest of them. I have to go to the library first, Moon said to Kinkaju. Oh, sorry, I got a call. Sorry, that was my older brother. I don't need to yawn, of course. Anyway, I have to go to the library first, Moon said to Kinkaju, but I can't chat with you. She stood up and paused, listening to the uneasy rippling quiet in Sora's mind. Do you want to come with me? She asked Sora. The Mudwing blinked at her in surprise. I do, she said, standing up. As they headed out of the Prey Center together, Moon could hear the reactions stirring behind them. That was nice of Moon, Umber thought. Oh, maybe they'll be friends, went through Clay's mind. Does she like her better than me? Kinkaju thought forlornly. My boring little clawmate with his Nightwing, came a frigid thought from across the cave. What's that all about? Oh, that must be Icicle. Yikes. Moon hurried into the stone tunnel, trying hard to think about raindrops. They were halfway to the library before she realized that neither she nor Sora had said a word the whole walk. Moon said, the library is great, isn't it? Sora nodded. Ah, I'm dying! I like the leaf windows, Moon added. Sora nodded again. Me too, she whispered. Is this what I seem like to everyone else? Moon wondered. Shy and really hard to talk to? Maybe I should try a little harder. It's easy to talk to my mystery friend, but I don't have to hide anything from him. I guess I couldn't, even if I wanted to. Starflight sat up as they came into the library, setting aside a stone tablet with letters carved into it. Hello? He said tentatively. It's Moon and Sora, Moon said. Oh, hi, he said, relaxing. Sora, I found that scroll on Ice Wings for you. He slid a scroll across the desk with his claws. Sora glanced at Moon, ducked her head and mumbled something like, "Figuring out my clawmate." She took the scroll and scurried over to her spot by the windows. "How are you, Moon?" Starflight asked. "How was class this morning?" "Terrifying." Alright. Interesting, she said. Do you have any scrolls about dream visitors?" He tipped his head, frowning a little. "I'm sure we do. Why? You didn't... I mean, you haven't been visited by someone, have you?" "I'm just curious," Moon said quickly. "Someone mentioned them, in class, and I don't know anything about them." Starflight slid out from behind the desk and started walking along the shelves, touching the carvings here and there. "If you ever do see a strange dragon in your dreams, let me know, alright? Especially if she's a skywing." A viciously scary orange dragon wreathed in smoke flashed through his mind. "A skywing?" Moon said alertly. "Why?" Starflight sighed. "Queen Scarlet, ex-Queen Scarlet, is out there with a dream visitor, and she hates us. I worry sometimes that she'll start scaring our students in their dreams." "That's far from the worst she could do," he thought anxiously. "How did she get a dream visitor?" Moon asked. "We're not entirely sure," Starflight said. He tilted his wings back and scratched his head. "She must have found it while she was imprisoned in Burn's Weirdling Tower, and Burn must not have known it was there. My theory is that Scarlet found it in or on this Nightwing Dragon corpse she disemboweled somehow." "Oh," Moon said. "Does anyone know where the other two dream visitors are?" To her surprise, Starflight nodded. "We know one for sure. It's right here in the school. I think Sunny has it this week. She got it from a scavenger who stole it from the Sandwings, and we're pretty sure the other dream visitor was lost in the volcano. I found it in the Nightwing treasury, but someone stole it from me shortly before the island exploded." "You don't know who?" He shook his head, flickers of guilt ricocheting through his mind. "Here." He brushed his talons across a section of the wall, and then chose a scroll and held it out for her. "This should be the Animus Histories. It's about several Animus-touched objects, but the dream visitors definitely have a section in there." "Thanks," Moon said. Could she have heard Queen Scarlet in someone's dream last night? Another awful thought followed that one. She hesitated, but had to ask. Could a dragon ever use his dream visitor to talk to someone while they're awake? I mean, like in their heads? Sorry, my nail is annoying me right now. And why is my nose so itchy? Oh yeah. Now Starflight looked really puzzled. "No, that wouldn't make sense," he said. "The way they're enchanted is to get into dreams, nothing else. Why do you ask?" "Just heard a story once," Moon said. "I promise you, little Moon, I am no skywing." Oh, the mystery voice is back. "Then who are you?" Moon thought back fiercely. No answer, of course. She took the scroll over to a ledge by the biggest window and curled up with her back against a tapestry-covered wall. There were more Animus-touched objects than she would have expected, considering there hadn't been that many Animus dragons in Peria's history, at least as far as anyone knew. Sorry. She stopped on a spread with a beautiful drawing of a tall, sweeping pavilion, 12 stories high, made of white stone, and looking as if it had grown straight out of the water into this perfect shape. "The Sea Wing Summer Palace," read the caption. "Made of stone enchanted by Albatross, a sea wing prince who grow into a tower he designed." That's really pretty, Moon thought, brushing one claw lightly across the drawing. I wish I could create something like that. She rolled the scroll to read the longer paragraph on the side. Albatross was one of the first known animus dragons, hatched over 2,000 years ago, before anyone truly understood the limits of this power. He uses animus magic to create many things, including the beautiful Summer Palace Pavilion, whose location is known only to sea wings. But at the time, nobody realized the terrible price of using animus powers, and nobody saw that Albatross was slowly going insane. Not until the Royal Sea Wing Massacre, in a devastating shock to the entire Kingdom of the Sea, when Albatross, who had been hailed as one of the greatest sea wings of all times, suddenly snapped and tried to murder his entire family. He managed to kill 9 dragons, including his sister, the Queen, his own daughter, and her husband, before someone was able to stop him with a spear to his chest. Among the few who survived were his young grandson Fathom and granddaughter Pearl. Pearl ascended the throne peacefully and ruled for many years. One of her first edicts was to outlaw the use of animus magic anywhere in her kingdom. Her brother Fathom was an animus dragon himself, but after the massacre, he refused to ever use his power, except perhaps once. I know that once. See, Fathom. Moon shivered. What an awful story. I guess there are worse powers than mine in the world. At least mind reading only made her socially anxious and gave her headaches. She was pretty sure it wasn't turning her homicidal though. She found the section of dream visitors and studied the drawing of 3 star-shaped sapphires. Dream visitors, read the caption, enchanted by a nightwing called Darkstalker, to allow whichever dragon holds one to walk in any other dragon's dreams. Moon hadn't realized they were made by a nightwing. She unrolled it to the longer description. The first known animus dragon in the Nightwing tribe, Darkstalker, also had the powers of mind reading and prophecy, making him a truly formidable dragon. He created 3 dream visitors, so there would be one for him, one for his best friend, see Fathom, and one for his beloved, a dragon named Clearsight. They were intended to link the 3, no matter how far apart they were. That's sweet, Moon thought. If it were her, who would she give dream visitors to? Mother, of course. She felt a twinge of sadness and also guilt that she'd managed not to miss her mother every second she'd be gone. Who else? Kinkajou? The idea of Kinkajou flinging rainbows around in Moon's dreams, as well as in her waking thoughts, was a little alarming. The answer is no one, really, Moon admitted to herself. She didn't want anyone to see inside her subconscious. If she did, she was sure they'd never trust her again. Ultimately, Darkstalker grew to be too powerful, and his ambitions began to terrify the dragons around him. He claimed he'd found a way to make himself immortal. Rumor had it he planned to overthrow the Nightwing Queen and seize the throne for himself. After he killed his own father with an aspect of animus power that no one had ever seen before, the tribe agreed. He was too dangerous to be free. The details of the chapset for Darkstalker are lost to history, but it is certain that he and Clearsight disappeared one night and were probably both killed at the same time. It is also believed that he was ultimately taken down with an animus-touched object created by Fathom, the only time Fathom ever used his power. Fear of the Darkstalker lingered in the Nightwing tribe, however, causing them to move to a new secret home in case he ever returned. Oh. Nightwing ghost stories will still speak of him, and there are those who believe that one day Darkstalker may yet rise again and come seeking his revenge. Nightwing ghosts, Moon thought, touching the scroll lightly. Mother never told me any traditional Nightwing ghost stories. She had much more effective ways of terrifying me, just by telling me about the volcano and the rainwings and what would happen if another Nightwing ever found me in the rainforest. She rolled the scroll in either direction. But there were no more information about the dream visitors. Read the section on Fathom. The mystery voice suddenly commanded in her voice. On Fathom? Moon thought, glancing up. Sora shifted slightly, but kept her eyes on the scroll in front of her, drowning her worries under a deluge of words about Ice Wings. Why? To find out what he did with his dream visitor? Just read it, the voice said, and there was an odd vibration to it that she hadn't heard before, like an egg shattering before it cracked. What do you know about Fathom that I don't? Moon wondered as she rolled through the scroll. She quickly found the section of Fathom alongside a giant illustrated question mark. Grandson of Albatross, the perpetrator of the Royal Sea Ring massacre, see Albatross. Fathom was so traumatized by his family's murder that he swore an oath to his sister Pearl, the new Sea Wing Queen, that he would never use his animist magic. Fathom was sent to the Night Kingdom to befriend and guide a young animist dragon named Darkstalker. The hope was that Fathom's sad story, his caution, and his understandable weariness about their powers would have a positive effect on the ambitious, brilliant Nightwing. At first, it seemed to work, and they became close friends. But Darkstalker could not be convinced that his powers were dangerous, and as he used them more and more, Fathom and the other Nightwings became afraid of him. Fathom was among the first to sound a warning about his friend, and the stories say he was the one who convinced Clearsight that Darkstalker could not be trusted. The legends say that Fathom finally agreed to use his power just once, to enchant an object that could stop Darkstalker, since nothing and nobody else could. Whatever the object was, it must have worked, as Darkstalker disappeared and was never seen again. How sad, Moon thought, studying the picture of a worried-looking Sea Wing. He must have felt awful doing that to his friend. I wonder what he enchanted. There was a deep pause, and Moon could almost have sworn that she felt the mountain tremble slightly under her talons. It was a bracelet. The voice whispered, soft as leaves falling. Moon blinked at the scroll. What? A bracelet. A wrist cuff, enchanted to put me to sleep forever, since I couldn't die. That story about me making myself immortal is true. They had come up with something else. Her whole body felt numb, like ice was sweeping across her scales. I knew it, the voice went on. I knew when she pulled it on. Right before she put it on me. I knew it when she pulled it out, right before she put it on me. I thought, Fathom must have touched it. He broke his sacred oath to his sister just to betray me. But I wasn't sure until now. What are you saying? Moon asked, pressing her claws into the stone below her. I'm saying, nice to meet you, Moon. My name is Darkstalker. Finally! Now I can tell you, this is Darkstalker! It was him that created the Dream Visitors. In the previous books, dragons have said that maybe it was probably created by Sandwing animus, and I was fighting so hard trying to say that's not true. Well, that was end of chapter 8 and end of part 1 of the book actually, and now we're on to part 2, which is called Stay Hidden. We have 2 chapters left, and oh my gosh, we're almost 2 hours in. I need to go downstairs to get some more water, so I'm gonna be calling a hydration break. So I'll see you then. I'll see you in a bit. Alright, I'm back. Hope y'all got some water and got your legs stretched a bit. Sorry. I got some more water too. And I am fucking excited! Miss. He's over there. Sorry. Okay, but, we're like halfway through the book already, and I started it yesterday. Sorry. These chapters are long. I need to check. Okay, and this one is only 5 pages long. Okay, chapter 9. You can't be, Moon whispered, then realized she'd spoken aloud when Sora looked up and blinked at her. She turned toward the wall and thought, Darkstalker lived over 2,000 years ago. I know, he sighed. I've been asleep for a long time, apparently. I suspect this bracelet was supposed to keep me that way forever. So, what happened? Moon asked. Why are you awake now? It's broken, he said. After 2,000 years, almost anything becomes weaker. Something must have jarred it and snapped it off. The earthquakes? Moon wondered. There was comet 6 months ago. As it passed by, there were a lot of earthquakes and strange weather. That's when I woke up, he said. So you're probably right. Moon hesitated. 6 months ago was also when her nightmares had started. The ones about Jade Mountain falling. Was she seeing visions of something that would ultimately be caused by Darkstalker's awakening? I'm not actually a monster, no matter what the scrolls and ghost stories say, he said. Can't you tell? Where are you? She asked instead of answering. I don't know. Somewhere dark, covered in stone. I can't move. I can only think. He let out an odd sort of chuckle. Perhaps you can see why I was so pleased to find you. I can hear others, but no one else can hear me. Makes for a lot of very boring, one-sided conversations. She didn't know what else to say. She'd expected, well, another dragon like her. Someone she could meet and go flying with. She had not expected to be talking to the legendary monster of Nightwing nightmares. I'm not a monster, he said again quietly. It seems history has painted me that way, but perhaps that's what happens when you disappear before you can tell your own story, and your enemies are left to finish it. Or your best friends turned enemies, apparently. Moon rolled back to the Darkstalker section of the scroll. A handsome dark face stared regally out at her. He had the silver scales in the corners of his eyes, too. A formidable dragon, Darkstalker said with mild amusement. I suppose that's true, but it's not my fault I was born with these powers. I think you know something about that. I've never plotted to steal any thrones, though, Moon pointed out, or killed my father. I think you would, if you had known my father. I saved my tribe from him, Darkstalker argued. He was a lot worse than I am. The scroll's version of the story is highly oversimplified. As for being king, why not? Just because we've only ever had queens, does that mean a king is impossible? Why would I have all these gifts if I wasn't supposed to use them to lead and protect the tribe? It felt as though he'd suddenly seized her mind in an iron grip. Moon winced, touching her head. Listen, Darkstalker said. I could see the future. But not just any future. All the possible futures. Do you understand what that means? I could have guided the tribe along the best path to safety and glory and power and everything else. At each crossroad, I would have known the right thing to do. I loved my tribe, Moonwatcher. I would have been the best ruler they'd ever had. I know it. I saw the futures where I was king, benevolent and beloved, married to Clearsight with 6 little dragonets of our own. Those were possible. They could have happened if anyone had had faith in me. He paused, then went on. She saw them too. Clearsight had the gift of prophecy, as strong as mine. She knew those futures existed, but she also saw the ones where I turned toward evil, destroying instead of protecting. She didn't believe me that I could avoid those paths. In the end, I guess she didn't believe in me at all. I wonder what happened to her. There was another really long scroll. This is going to sound weird, Moon offered, but I kind of want to give you a hug right now. Darkstalker barked a laugh. How did she surprise you then? Moon asked. How could you see all the futures? All these futures. How did she trick you with the bracelet? I had too much faith in her, he said. I saw the possibility that she would betray me in more than one future, but further down the line. I didn't want to believe it, so I never studied those paths, just as she was supposed to stop looking down my darker paths as well. Up until the last moment, even with visions of blackness pressing against me, I still thought I could change her mind. That I could talk her into trusting me so we could fly into a bright, perfect future. He made a kind of growl, but Moon couldn't tell what was behind it. Bitterness, revenge, despair, loneliness? I never saw any of this back then, though, he said. I suppose prophecy doesn't extend 2,000 years forward. Not even for me. So you don't know what happens next? Moon said. All I see is darkness, he said softly. All I can do is hope. Hope for what? Hope for someone to set me free. You, specifically. Moon jumped, dropping the enemy's histories scroll. Starflight turned his head toward her, and Sora blinked up in surprise. Sorry, Moon said. Just had a thought. How can I set you free? She cried. I'm nobody. We have no idea where you are, and you're the most dangerous dragon in Imperia's history? Darkstalker said dryly. You shouldn't believe everything you read, Moon. Even if I did agree to do it, Moon thought, which I'm not saying I will, how could I? There's something I need, he said. Moon! Kinkajou called, sticking her head into the library. Didn't you hear the 3 gongs? We have to get to history class. Sora, you too! Sora scrambled to her feet, dropping her scroll with a clatter and fumbled around trying to roll it back up. Moon picked up the Animus histories, wondering if she could skip class somehow. She kind of wanted to keep talking to Darkstalker, which would be hard to do in a cave full of dragons, all thinking at the top of their brains. Hi, Starflight! I'm super excited, Kinkajou said. I don't know anything about history. I have a million questions for Webs. Like, what's a scorching? And is it true there used to be scavengers everywhere? And who started the Talents of Peace? And what's the big Icewind tragedy from the past? And a scream of terror suddenly echoed through the tunnels. Help! Somebody shrieked. More screams and the clamor of running dragons joined the tumult. The Skywing! She's here to kill us all! End of chapter 9. Oh dear. I need to just check how many pages this is on. This next chapter is on. And this is the last chapter of the day we're going to be reading. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 14 and a half! Another quite long chapter compared to the average of the other 5 books that I've read. But it was nice with a short chapter, wouldn't you say? We're halfway already. That's insane. Chapter 10. Queen Scarlet shot through Starflight's mind as he leaped over the desk. She's come for us. Find somewhere to hide, he cried to Moon, Kinkaju, and Sora. He stumbled forward, talons outstretched. Don't let her see you. Which way to the Great Hall? He thought frantically. I have to get there. I have to protect them. Who? Kinkaju yelped. Who are we hiding from? Sora curled into a ball on the reeds, trembling. Horrible images were lurching up from the mud puddle in her brain. Dragons on fire, dragons screaming, spears bristling, and a little brown dragon bleeding from her neck as she plummeted to the ground. Oh my gosh. That's their dead sibling. Moon clutched her head. The images weren't just coming from Sora. All of the school dragonettes who'd been in the war were hearing the alarm and having awful flashbacks. She could hardly think straight through all the violence reeling around her head. Raindrops, she tried to think. That won't work here, Darkstalker said. Everyone is too panicked. Find the calmest voice and anchor yourself. Focus on it. It'll help if it's someone who knows what's going on. Moon closed her eyes and reached rapidly through the tumult around her. Her mind landed unexpectedly in Carnelian's. She won't hurt me, Chameleon was thinking, wary but not unafraid. Wary but unafraid. I wonder if she remembers me. So, it's not Queen Scarlet, Moon realized. Or Carnelian would be angrier than that. Starflight was already hurrying away to the Great Hall, his wings brushing the rock walls on either side, his talons searching forward anxiously. Moon started after him. Aren't we hiding? Kinkaju asked. Is that what you want to do? Moon asked. No! Kinkaju said, flaring green and purple and white and yellow in dizzying spirals. I thought that's what you would want to do. But chasing after him to see what's happening is much more exciting. I love my clawmate, she thought ecstatically, bouncing along beside Moon. They burst into the hall only a few moments behind Starflight. A Skywing stood in the center of the cave, staring wildly around her with eerie blue eyes. Smoke rose from his shimmering metallic orange scales. It's Peril! Yay! Most students had fled, but Winter and Icicle stood in one of the tunnel entrances, glaring at the Skywing. Carnelian was there too, watching curiously. Two other dragons had apparently fainted before they could run away. A Sea Wing and a Sand Wing. Moon didn't know. Who's there? Starflight called, his voice shaking. Moon realized he was trying to look brave, but that he was almost paralyzed with fear. His visions of the former Skywing Queen were intensely replaying over and over, most of them featuring Starflight bleeding in some kind of arena while she laughed. But the dragon he was afraid of was not the dragon here in front of them. Moon didn't know who this was, or anything about her. Trying to look into the newcomer's mind was like touching an inferno. She couldn't read a single thought in the blaze. That's not Queen Scarlet, Moon said, touching his shoulder. It's not, Starflight said. His wings collapsed with relief. Peril! Clay shouted as he hurried into the cave, moving fast despite his limp. You came! Oh, great, Tsunami thought, coming in right behind him. Peril instinctively shrank away from Clay, but the wall of flames in her mind cooled for a brief moment as she looked at him. Moon caught a step of fierce, desperate love and guilt, and then the fire swallowed everything coherent again. Clay didn't seem to notice her pulling away. He took one of Peril's talons and pressed it between his. A sizzling sound and burning smell rose from his scales where they touched, but when he let go, the burn healed over almost instantly. When we didn't hear from you, we assumed you weren't coming, Tsunami said. I thought I could find her. Peril said, tearing her gaze away from Clay's. But she's nowhere. I don't know where else to look. I'm sorry. Don't be, Clay said wholeheartedly. We're glad you're here. That's only true for him, Moon thought. Not remotely for anyone else. Peril's lucky she doesn't have mind reading. Almost every dragon who knew she was here was brimming with hostility, fear, fury, or in most cases, all three. We don't have a group for you, Tsunami said, folding her wings back. We didn't know you were coming, so there's Skywing in each winglet already. I don't have to stay, Peril mumbled. She edged back a step toward the outside. But I want you to, Clay said. If Scarlet's looking for you too, we'll all be safer together. Don't worry about the winglets, we'll figure it out. He shot Tsunami a frown. Don't scare her away, she deserves a second chance. He thought that part. Tsunami rolled her eyes, but a memory of Peril saving Clay's life kept her from saying the rest of the snappish things in her head. I'll go ask Tsunami where we should put you, she said instead and swept away. She can't stay here, Winter suddenly barked, stepping forward. He jabbed a claw at Peril. That dragon killed more than 20 Icewing prisoners. She was Queen Scarlet's favorite weapon. It's one thing to force us to work with deceitful Nightwings and lowborn Sandwings, but a straight-up murderer? No one is going to stand for this. Besides, she's dangerous, his sister pointed out in a smooth, high-pitched voice. Whether she's still working for Queen Scarlet or not. The tone of her voice made it perfectly clear which of those she believed. A lot of dragons have done things they need to be forgiven for, Clay pointed out. Just around the corner, Moon and Tsunami hear him pause and winch, especially in the war. The agreement between the queens was amnesty for everyone, no grudges, no revenge. It's for him to say, Winter thought bitterly, and the ice wing from the mountains shot through his head again, this time along with the word brother. Fighting in battles, following orders from a general, that's normal warfare, he said. Killing prisoners while they're chained up or forcing them to fight a monster? How's that forgivable? Peril seemed to be shrinking and burning hotter at the same time. Her weird eyes glowered at Winter through the smoke. Even Queen Ruby hasn't agreed to pardon that dragon, Icicle pointed out. She's been banned from the Skywing Palace, hasn't she? All the more reason to welcome her here, Clay said. We're starting over and second chances are the whole point. He smiled at Peril again. She lashed her tail and ducked her head. Come on, let's go see the others, Clay added diplomatically, waving Peril toward the tunnel where Tsunami had disappeared. Icicle turned to Winter as they left and hissed, I'll send a messenger to Queen Glacier tonight. The gong sounded twice, echoing through the tunnels. Time for history, Kinkajou said cheerfully. Come on, Winter! Icicle gave him an amused, arch look. How adorable. A rainbow with a crush on my brother. Winter shifted his wings uncomfortably and started after Kinkajou. She thinks it's funny, but if she knew what I've been feeling, who I've been thinking about... Ooh! Oh no. Has she developed a crush on Moon? Oh. He slammed a wall of ice down over his thoughts, almost hard enough for Moon to feel the vibrations in her own skull. The history lesson cave was far down inside the mountain, at the intersection of three winding, narrow tunnels. There were fewer of the fire globes along these tunnels. The ones here were the shades of orange and blue, and they were interspersed with flickering torches. Moon noticed that Kinkajou edged quickly past the open flames. The Rainwing also didn't love the claustrophobic closeness of the walls, or how much darker it was this far down. Inside, the History Cave stone walls were covered in maps, the paper curling up at the edges with different borders and years written on each one. Stacks of scrolls were piled untidily everywhere, overflowing the wooden racks provided for them. Webbs stood in the center of the cave, waiting for everyone to gather in a circle around him. Moon sensed that he was the one who'd chosen the space, and that he preferred the dimmer, more underground feeling. He was the Sea-Wing who'd brought the fish in the net. And he was a lot older than the Prophecy Dragonettes. Trails of regret ran underneath his thoughts, even when he was mostly focused on the lesson he was about to give. Moon wondered why he was here and how he'd gotten the scar on his side. Moon's winglet filed in, and so did Sora's. As each dragon entered, Moon slipped their minds into the background rainstorm noise, and she felt her wings relax. Even in a cave filled with 15 dragons, she could be alright. Her head didn't hurt, and she didn't feel overwhelmed or confused. She could think her own thoughts, thanks to Darkstalker. Moon noticed that Icicle and Sora sat on opposite ends of the cave and didn't speak to each other. The other Nightwing was the male, uninspiringly named Bigtail, and the one Pike had growled at, and now she realized they were clawmates. She guessed that would be an uncomfortable cave to sleep in tonight. Bigtail glanced at Moon and then quickly away, as if he didn't want to be associated with her. Pike slid past him, glowering, and nearly flicked Bigtail's nose with one of his wings. She was surprised to see that Carnelian didn't acknowledge the other Skywing. He had a horrible scar across his snout, as if he'd been in a battle like her. She hesitated for a moment, then let go of that raindrop for a moment to check Carnelian's mind. Flame. She heard Carnelian scoff, shooting him a glare. Talons of peace. Oh, that explained it. He'd hidden with the underground peace movement instead of fighting in the war. Moon wondered where he'd gotten that scar then, but even brushing the surface of his mind gave her a queasy feeling of overflowing rage, so she decided to stay out of it instead. Kinkaju spotted a small blue and gold Rainwing and dragged Moon over to her. Excited sparks going off in her mind. Moon, this is Tamarin. Tamarin, Moon is our new best friend. She's super funny. Moon, can Tamarin touch your face? I'm super funny? Moon said. Moon thought. In what universe? It's alright, I don't have to, Tamarin said, smiling. Moon saw the pale film across Tamarin's eyes and remembered that the Rainwing was blind. You can. Moon let her talons touch Tamarin's, and the Rainwing brushed her claws gently across Moon's scales, horns, and snout. Moon got a shivering glimpse of a world without sight, of Tamarin's quiet acceptance and immense concentration. Have you figured everything out yet? Kinkaju asked Tamarin. She had the whole rainforest all memorized. But, of course, this is a whole new place, she added to Moon. So, Queen Gloria arranged for her to come early and spend a few days walking all the tunnels. I bet you know Jade Mountain better than anyone now. Tamarin said, Well, I'm getting used to it. It's useful to have walls in a way. I can't wait for suntime, though, Kinkaju said. Moon, after this, we're going to sleep in the sun for the rest of the day. Wanna join us? No thanks, Moon said. She'd seen Rainwings doing that before, but it still seemed odd to her. Everyone sit, Webbs ordered. A muscular Sandwing, a lot older than the others, started across the cave and sat down next to Tamarin. Hey, she whispered. Hey, she whispered. Did I miss anything? This is my clawmate, Onyx, Tamarin said. Onyx had very black eyes, and little black diamonds embedded between her pale yellow scales all along her wings. She wore a metal amulet around her neck, and branching black lines were tattooed on her horns and neck. Her gaze was sharp, studying the others in the cave, and her mind was like shifting sand. Moon tipped her head and realized that Onyx was as hard to read as Turtle. Nothing came from her mind but that same weird, quiet fuss. How is she doing that? Darkstalker? Can you read Onyx and Turtle? Am I just not powerful enough? A pause, and then... No, they are both impenetrable to me as well. Really? Are they just really good at shielding? I'm not sure. I've never seen mental shielding advance enough to block me, and who would have trained them? But perhaps my powers have grown weaker over time, or perhaps this kind of shielding evolved over the last 2,000 years. Moon studied Onyx, then glanced across the cave at Turtle. The two dragons had nothing in common that she could see. How could they both be the only dragons immune to mind reading? Some of you might know who I am, Webb said, clearing his throat importantly. For those of you who don't, my name is Webbs, and I used to be part of the Talents of Peace. You may have heard of my son, Riptide, who is the new leader of whatever the Talents of Peace is becoming. I was one of the guardians who raised the Dragonets of Destiny. I taught them the history of Pyria. And now they've asked me to teach it to you. So we'll start at the beginning with the scorching. I have a question, Icicle interjected. Already? Webb said, ruffled. I haven't even begun yet. About that Skywing, Icicle pressed on. The one who burns everything she touches. Have there been other dragons like that in history? Aren't they terribly dangerous? I mean, even frost breath doesn't work on her, so how have tribes dealt with dragons like that in the past? Is there a way to kill her? That's a rather gruesome topic for our first day, Webb sputtered. I'd like to know more about Thorn, Onyx spoke up. You mean Queen Thorn, Quibbly snapped. It's unprecedented, right? Asked Onyx, ignoring him. There's never been a queen in history who wasn't descended from the royal family. Isn't that true? Well, not exactly, Webbs tried. Queen Thorn is the best queen the Sandwings have ever had, Quibbly flared loyally. If you think you could do better, maybe you should challenge her for the throne. But that's my point, Onyx said sharply. Does this mean now anyone could take the throne and become queen? Could that happen to the other tribes too? I mean, it sounds like asking for chaos and rebellion everywhere. That's all I'm saying. But it's rather unusual. I mean, given the eye of Onyx and the situation with the three sisters, this is hardly inappropriate. Webbs flapped his wings around, his mind spinning. This might be a good idea to get some answers, Darkstalker whispered in Moon's head. Are we going to learn about the Nightwings? Moon blurted out. I mean, historically, maybe 2,000 years ago, like, where they lived, or, where they buried Darkstalker? How am I supposed to nonchalantly ask that question? We may learn more about the Nightwings, but not today, Webbs said grumpily, as none of this is relevant to today's topic, which is the scorching. Ahem! He gathered up a bunch of scrolls and thrust them at Turtle. Give these out, one to each dragonet. We'll begin at the beginning. That means over 5,000 years ago, before there were tribes or kingdoms, back when scavengers swarmed over the whole continent. Unroll your scrolls to the first map, please. Moon took her scroll from Turtle with a sigh. It was worth a try, Darkstalker observed. You said there was something you need, Moon thought. Yes, if you can find it and bring it to me, then I could free myself. Moon thought of the general reaction to peril. If they were so terrified of her, how would everyone react to Moon? How would everyone react if Moon brought back the creature from their nightmares? Could Darkstalker be trusted any more than Peril? Even if she believed he could be, would anyone else believe it? And wouldn't they all hate her even more than they already did for being the one to bring him back into the light again? Damn. She furrowed her brow. Oh, wait. Why can't you use your animus power to free yourself now? Moon asked him. There were those animus-touched tunnels in the rainforest to other parts of Pyria. Couldn't Darkstalker just make one of those and pop out wherever he wanted? For a long, nervous moment, Moon had the anxious feeling that exactly that might happen. That Darkstalker might suddenly just burst through the wall and appear in the cave right in front of her. I can't, Darkstalker said finally. Why not? He chuckled sadly. I was too smart for my own good. There are many stories about life before the scorching, Webbs intoned. After so many thousands of years, it is hard to know which one to believe. What do you mean? Moon asked. I had a truly brilliant idea, he answered. After what Albatross did, the massacre, we realized that animus magic took a little of your soul every time you used it. So I gathered all my power and put it in a vessel. Do you see what I mean? If the power wasn't in me, it couldn't turn me evil. I could use the vessel to cast my animus spells, as many as I wanted, without ever being affected. I thought this would prove to Clearsight that she didn't have to worry about me. I would always be myself, and what happened to Albatross would never happen to me. Of course, that means I need the object of power in order to use it, and of course I didn't have it with me when Clearsight betrayed me. Wherever I am now, it's not here. But if I had it back, I could get myself out. I wouldn't have to do anything except... You wouldn't have to do anything except bring it to me. Please, I need your help, Moon. I just want to be free after 2,000 years. Can't you imagine? Is that so much to ask? Moon rolled a corner of the scroll between her claws, transferring the animus power to an object. That did sound like a brilliant idea. Had any other animus ever thought of that? Maybe Darkstalker was telling the truth. Maybe he wasn't evil and whatever, and never would have been. Bring it to you, she thought, which would mean finding it and then finding you and also figuring out how to get it to you. Not that simple. I'll help you, he promised, any way you need. Please don't take away my only hope. Please tell me you'll at least think about it. Most of the pre-scorching stories would be best described as legends, or perhaps even fairy tales, Webbs was droning on. It is unlikely that scavengers were ever capable of being as organized or advanced as some of these imaginative fictions that would have us believe. Stories often change and grow over time. Like Darkstalker's story, Moon thought. Everything we know about him was passed down by those who defeated and feared him. Maybe there's more to it. But how would I know? She glanced around the cave, at her winglet, at these new friends who had accepted her so far. If they found out about her powers, would they be afraid of her? The same way Clearsight and Fathom ended up fearing Darkstalker? Would they think she was dangerous and cursed? Was her mother right? That they'd reject her and maybe even want to kill her? Moon curled her talons in and took a deep breath. Alright, Moon. Alright, Darkstalker, she promised. I'll think about it. End of chapter 10 and the last chapter of the day. Oops, sorry. For whoever stuck with me for this whole 2.5 hours, I applaud you, because like this was long. We had a 20-page chapter and then a 5-page chapter after that, but still. remember to drink a lot of water. Yeah. My cat's still here on my bed. Yeah, I don't know what else to say anymore. Peace! But yeah, I hope you liked it so far. I hope you like it so far. We're over halfway there already. And like, I still have 3 streams planned after this to finish the book. So, but anyway, remember to hydrate, do not dehydrate, treat others the way you want them to treat you, just be kind overall, and I will see you all tomorrow.